Moving on to the next team, known as the heavyweights. Never write them off despite them having just one IPL title. The runners of IPL 2024, the Orange Army. And I have Varun, Pranav, welcome to the show. How disappointing was it, Pranav, last season around? You were so dominant throughout the season. It was just a couple of deliveries from Mitchell Stark in the knockout phases that completely dismantled your campaign.
Well, I think I was there in the qualifier two in Chepauk, watching it live. Sunrisers beat Rajasthan,
So it was
and
feeling it disappointing to watch it so closely.
no, I mean I was in Q2, but I couldn't watch the finals because of some work here, so I had to come back and watch on TV. But I think, contrary to the strengths that were mentioned by the experts, SRH put a spin shock on Rajasthan. So despite the fact that they did that, but they couldn't come quite close, was very disappointing. But I think overall a fabulous season, incredible turnaround from 23 to 24,
True.
and I seriously look forward to continuing that under the reign of Pat Cummins because it's a very different team. It's a very different attitude.
True. Absolutely. And when we talk about the likes of Pat Cummins, Mitchell Stark coming back into IPL after a long time, we were scared of whether they will play the full quota, all games or not. They did. Both of them did. One of them ended up being a runners-up, while the other ended up being a champion as well. What about the success story of the Sunrisers Hyderabad so far, Varun? Let's have a look into that. You might wonder and ask me, where is the Deccan Chargers out here? But I just stick to Sunrisers Hyderabad and at the 2016 iconic moment by Ben Cutting. But I'll ask you that moment, not for the first innings point of view, but at that moment, I'm sure both of you were biting your nails when Virat Kohli and Chris Gayle went bonkers around. Did you think that the trophy slipped away?
I think at a certain point of time, I think if you score more than 100 runs in 9 overs, when the target is around 209, I think the opposition fans like us, I think we'll feel a bit of a tension here and there. But again, I think the main thing is to stick to your team and believe in them. And I think Bipul Sharma really turned the game around. I think that's all you can do as fans. You can only sit there and believe while biting your nails, as you said. And I think the game really turned around after that Chris Gayle wicket. I think that was a game changer. And then came in Barinder Sran. He was
Sran,
a
yeah.
a very unexpected bowler to come in that period of time and get Virat Kohli's wicket. I think he was probably the last bowler that Virat Kohli would have thought to got out to. But more than Chris Gayle, I think Virat Kohli was a more crucial wicket. Gayle started things off. The Gayle wicket started things off. But when Kohli got out, I think that's where the batting lineup just started to tumble. Right, and you got KL Rahul, Shane Watson, Sachin Baby, and then these guys weren't really able to capitalize on the end. Right, when you have,
You,
as I
you
said,
said about the top two wickets, top orders. You said about three more names. I think, Pranav, we missed out on the biggest name. Potentially, we say the choke attack comes into the equation when we talk about South Africa's. Bipul Sharma picked up the wicket of AB de Villiers. Was that the turnaround, or you agree with Pranav Varun when he said about Gayle's wicket or Virat Kohli's wicket because they were well set?
I think I concur with what Warren said, solely because of the fact that 2016 was Kohli's best season, 972 runs in that season. Ended up winning the Orange Cap, just like that. So I think, and probably Sunrisers deserved to win because Bhuvi ended up winning the Purple Cap that season. So it just proves that bowlers win your tournaments and batters win your matches. So
and I
I
think,
think
yeah,
Kohli's
continue.
no, I think Kohli's wicket was the key, but De Villiers could hold one end up. Again, credit to uh, David Warner for being
Yeah,
such an incredible
absolutely.
skipper, Tom Moody as well for the
Absolutely.
strategy that they put. But yeah, go on. With.
But I think this last season, SRH 2024 season, we got into the finals and we lost. But that season really reminded me of RCB 2016 because
I saw.
RCB and SRH, okay, they had the same coach, first of all, Daniel Vettori, right? They had the same analyst, Gaurav Sundaraman. They had pure batting strikers everywhere. RCB were just cruising to the 200 plus 180 totals back in the day. And I think that was a lot right now. Okay, 260, 270. But
Yeah,
back then, 180, 200 was a lot. AB de Villiers, Virat Kohli, all these high run scorers, Chris Gayle, right? They all just packed up. But once you go on to the bowling, it was pretty average or below average. And that's exactly what happened to Sunrisers in 2024. And I think having that even bowling side, KKR had an even bat and ball. They weren't really overhyped. Their bowling really overshadowed their batting as well, to be very honest. And I think that's where KKR really won the game with the ball. Bowling is always important in the bigger stages, and that's what KKR had.
absolutely. I agree with this fact that KKR had all the bases covered. Probably you can say Sunrisers did have it, but compared to what KKR had, I think a little bit of less, and that's the reason why you fell short. And I would be surprised if I won't be surprised rather if you say that the same this time around of this season, because it's a very thin squad will come as a show progresses. What about the captain and coach? You said Van Daniel Vittori, so I'm not holding it back. Let's move on to the leadership group now. Here it is, Pranav, Pat Cummins, and Daniel Vittori, coach, captain, once again into the mixed New Zealand Australia duo. What brand of cricket are you expecting? Once again, go hammer and tongs from ball one with the bat, and a little bit be aggressive with the ball too, because I'm expecting a belter of a surface once again at Hyderabad.
Yeah, I don't see any change in the approach because it has worked for them, and one game doesn't dictate terms. Because if he had won that, Pat Cummins would have been one of the greatest captains of the world because he had won everything until that point of time. And I don't see a change because it is after Tom Moody, it is the second time that someone's getting a second term in Sunrisers because they've tried and tested a lot of people. In fact, James Franklin did more than what was expected out of him because he replaced Dale Steyn and he just gets another season, which
I
is,
think
I think, another 3 seasons
what's
because
his name? Trevor Bayliss. He coached 2020 and 2021. That's two
yeah,
seasons.
but that was COVID, right? So it was split into 2 seasons, not full season. I mean, consistency wise, you split 2 seasons. There is a break. You play half of the season in India, then half in Dubai.
Right.
Then there's a mess around dropping David Warner, etc. So I think that's why consistency helps Sunrisers because the core of the team is the same, and
True.
I'll still feel that they'll still try and target 116 10 overs because that's how it works for them, and that's how it should be because the T20
That's
game
how
has
it
evolved
works
so
for
much.
them. That's how it should be, and that's the reason why you had a rift between Sanjeev Goenka and KL Rahul because of this exact thing. 10 overs, 160. It all started out there, but that's the brand of cricket you expect to Sunrise Hyderabad to play. And Varun is also nodding his head. He agrees with the same. What about the squad? Let's take a look into Sunrise's squad now. Moving into the squad of the Sunrisers Hyderabad now, I see just 20 players named squad, 6 overseas only, just like the Rajasthan Royals. But Pranav, it has always been a risk of having an English player in an IPL side. Example, Harry Brooks just got banned for 2 years. Bryden Cars was also part of the squad, ruled out just because of injury. I think it's a perfect replacement having somebody like a Vian Mulder who's on red on form. Thoughts on that, and then on to the overall squad of Sunrisers, please.
I think Vian Mulder is a very bright prospect. In fact, the fact that he's got an IPL gig out of nowhere proves how worthy he is, and especially the fact that the same franchise plays in SA20. They might have seen him in SA20, the kind of value that he has. Uh, that's why I say the same franchise is because Gaurav handles all the Sunrisers franchises. So he does the analysis or the analyst job in the South Africa 20 as well. So yeah, I think six foreigners might be a little concerning, but at the same time, I think if you look at the last season, not a lot was changed in terms of the four foreign players, right? Markram, Head, Klassen, and Cummins played almost all the games. Yes, there were one or two games where they had to chop and change a bit depending on the condition, but apart from that, nothing else was changed.
I really don't
So
think
here
it's
also,
a big problem not having all the eight
yeah,
foreigners. But I think
True.
even if you check this whole auction, I don't think any team has filled in their full-on eight overseas quota. Right? I think it was more of a Indian focus based auction. It was more of a youngster based auction this time, which is good at least for the IPL. It's the Indian Premier League, and this time it was a
Absolutely.
full-on Indian packed auction.
Absolutely. I agree
and,
with that.
and, it, and it makes sense as well, right? Because
Yeah.
you sort of have PSL
Hmm.
happening in parallel to the IPL. So when you're talking about that, it's just that uh, you prioritize which one. And when
No,
we
no,
are watching
I
as fans,
disagree with this one
Because
out
I
here.
think
Is the
Cotton Boyd, he
PSL?
was bought
I
in
mean,
as
in
a
terms as a fan, not as a player.
I think the Indian Premier League players who got unsold in the auction, they go more on to the PSL.
No,
I
no,
think
as
it's
a
a fair
as a
perception.
fan, I'm saying, not as a player.
correct.
As a fan, which one do you prefer to
True,
watch?
true, true.
It's because of the talent that comes in. It's because of the gameplay that goes in. I'm not by any means disregarding PSL because it's their premier tournament. But as a fan, if you have a lot of Indian talent coming up, because it's a T20 World Cup year next year, you would want to look at options. Because you have an Asia Cup in September, you would again want to look at options. You want to look at players whose form is like how. So I think that is where this IPL makes a little more interesting because coaching staff of the Indian cricket team after winning the Champions Trophy will just be sitting like this. but they will have one eye on the squad that's playing,
100%.
especially when you know that Sanju and Jaiswal are going to open, and Abhishek is also going to open. So you might want to look at slots, who fits in where, and I think that's where this game becomes a
This
little more
is
crucial.
the most important IPL probably for all the Indian youngsters. 2026 T20 World Cup is in India. It's time to shine. There's so many openers like Ruturaj Gaikwad, Shubman Gill is waiting, Abhishek Sharma is there, Jaiswal, Sam. There's too many prospects right now. Going on to the middle order, you have too many bowlers. You have too many. So it's a full-on pool of Indian players this time.
Absolutely.
It's
I
gonna be
agree with that. But
competitive.
do you really think because somebody like a Sanju Samson always is in form, but when it's an ICC year, he just gets out of the tournament?
I
No, I don't, because the point here is that nobody's, and actually might be diverging a bit off topic, but the communication from the management is very important here. And if Gautam Gambhir has said, if your IPL season is very horrible, I just don't care because you are a key to my team, then that gives them more confidence. Right? Because Sanju is coming off a very big layoff because of a fractured finger, that makes a little more important season for him. Even if he may start slow, doesn't matter. But being
Yeah.
a captain, being a part of the leadership group, it becomes a little more important. And that is why I
Yes, it
think
does.
this IPL defines a lot of roles, especially in the
100%.
white ball format for India.
Absolutely, especially the top order. That's what I more or less try to figure out for the Indian team. Varun moving into the squad, like Varun rather Pranav said exactly. 6 overseas, more or less, not massive chop and changes were done last season around. You had Markram, but this time I can see Henrik Klassen, Travis said, and Pat Cummins. These are no-brainer 3 overseas. What about the remaining three? You've got coming to Mendes, Vian Mulder, and Adam Zampa, Eshan Malinga is there. So, what are your thoughts about that? What do you think can be done in this side for Sunrisers Hyderabad?
So basically, as I was saying, maybe they can try Sachin Baby as a number six or number seven batsman and try an overseas player, basically as an impact player. Or basically, my idea was to just play Vian Mulder from game one because now you have 4 matches in Hyderabad out of your first 6 games. Pure batting paradise. It assists pace more than spin, right? I don't think you really need both Adam Zampa and Rahul Chahar in one lineup in the first 6 games. If you play in Chennai, that's a whole different gravy, right? Maybe you need a few more spinners there. Then you can use maybe Adam Zampa. You can use a Sishan Ansari if you really wish to keep someone like Vian Mulder in, right? Then you can get that Indian spinner in. But when you're playing 4 home games in your first 6 games, I'm gonna go with pure batting depth. And that's Vian Mulder, who can also give you 2 or 3 overs if you do need it. And another spinner you have is Abhishek Sharma. And the reason I
True.
think Sunrisers picked Vian Mulder instead of a spin all-rounder is because now Abhishek Sharma is starting to bowl consistently in domestic cricket as well. He's been getting chances for the Indian cricket team as well, as we've seen in the English series, right? He's been bowling, he's been getting the chances, and I think now Sunrisers might just use him as a pure all-rounder instead of like a part-time bowler. So I think that's
Could
the
be.
basic idea I have.
Absolutely, could be. And we have seen a bit of Abhishek Sharma, the bowler, in the recently concluded
Right.
T20I series versus England as well. But enough firepower in this side, and the template looks to be going bonkers. They've added the likes of Ishan Kishan into the side. I cannot expect anything. The way you have said 116 10 overs, that can absolutely be on the cards if Sunrise is batting. What about the fixtures of the Sunrisers Hyderabad? Let's take a look into that. Talking about the fixtures of the Sunrisers Hyderabad, Varun, if I see out here, as you mentioned, the first 2 games you have at home, Rajasthan Royals, Lucknow Super Giants. Then you come back away from home, face Delhi and Kolkata. Again, return back home, facing Gujarat Titans and Punjab Kings. If you look into the first 6 games, how many games are you fancying to win games?
Honestly, you and I might have said 4 out of 6, but Vizag is also like our home ground only. So let's say 5 out of 6 here. I'm gonna consider it's 5 out of 6. I think even if you go to Vizag, it's a pure batting paradise there. We've seen that
Mhm.
last year as well. But DC versus KKR game, I think it was a 250, 260 kind of level of a game. CSK as well, I think it was a high 180s type of game. So it's a good batting track to play on. So when you're playing 5 games on those types of surfaces, I think this is the kind of lineup you should go with, as I mentioned before. And I think the impact is going to be the same.
Mhm.
There isn't going to be much travel. It shouldn't affect the players, even if there is a lot of travel, since they're all professionals. But I think this just makes it a bit more easier for the players, since
Yeah, the
they
first half of the tournament, I think,
can.
for Sunrisers Hyderabad will not be much of a travel. The second half will have so many away games. But Pranav, he said 5 out of 6 games, keeping aside the Kolkata Knight Riders game. He thinks that is going to be a challenging one at the Eden Gardens. That's another belter. I was surprised that he did not say that I want to take a little bit of revenge on Harshit Rana.
And no, I mean for me, what would be challenging is how will they prepare the home wicket? Because last year it was an absolute belter.
And
I
I
do
expect
agree,
the
and this year also I expect the same. But last year the cutters worked a lot more.
Hmm.
But somebody like Bhuvneshwar Kumar is not there this time, but you have the seam bowling option in Shami.
Correct.
If it doesn't swing or seam a lot, then Shami becomes a lot more ineffective. And that is where I feel that
And he's
Sunrisers
gonna
might
he's
have.
gonna be very expensive if it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, so and that's where I think Sunrisers might have to use Harshal a lot more in the power play to get those wickets, the knack of wickets, and that's where I think it'll be a challenge. But at the same time, when you're playing the IPL, you have to always ensure you're at least winning 4 of the 7 home games that you play. So I think what Sunrisers will want to do is cover their bowling strength or certain ineffectiveness with their batting,
Mhm.
and that's where I think the effect of dew will also be a very very big factor.
True.
So I think yeah, that's what I want to see in the first couple of games. That how do they adapt it to it so quickly because players are coming off after a long layoff. Shami is obviously fresh off the Champions Trophy win, but other players, the gelling as a unit, everything is a challenge. KKR, I don't think will be a big challenge because their squad is slightly depleted this year as compared to last year.
Mhm.
Um, I think edge on edge Sunrisers have a slight edge on the bowling department purely because of the conditions. Shami suits it's Shami's home ground, so
Home ground, absolutely.
I'll take him for granted in that surface. But obviously Chandu Pandit might want to ace a bit of spin because Sunrisers don't have a lot of spin strength. But there again, Zampa can play instead of Brian Mulder and
Right.
then put the spin
Absolutely.
choke on.
Absolutely.
So
So you
it won't
you
be a
you
lot of difference.
see that KKR game will be challenging, but you still see that KKR's game SRH have an edge a little bit.
Yeah, 100%. Because the combination that KKR and Sunrisers have a pretty settled combination. Kolkata have a little more confusion in terms of who to play, Ramanullah Gurbaz or Quinton de Kock, who's in form, who'll give me runs, etc. And that figuring out will take a lot of time because the captain is new, the vice captain is new, the management is new. But in terms of Sunrisers, it's a lot more settled unit, and that's where I feel they have a slight edge. But
And the
whoever
advantage of
conquers the
having
home
a thin
better,
squad is that you don't have to make too many chopping and changes. If it
yeah,
works out
there's
well,
not a lot to think about.
absolutely, there's not a lot to think about. It's a thin squad with minimal overseas, 7 overseas players. I think there's not going to be a problem. Go with whatever happening is right, and if it's going well, why change something which is not broken? What about the SWOT analysis of this side? Let's take a look at the SWOT analysis of SRH. Talking about the SWOT analysis of the Sunrisers Hyderabad, Pranav, looking into this side, thin squad as I rightly said before as well. But what strength do you see in this side?
Uh, I think batting is one of their key strengths.
That's a
Apart
no-brainer.
from batting, what what specific strength that I'm looking at in this side is spin hitting. That is a big plus in this year's squad because if you look at previous year's squad, you had Markram who slightly struggles to play spin well, although he does play spin well, but he does struggle versus quality spin. You had Rahul Tripathi who played pace well. He does play spin well. He's playing for Chennai and Chekhov. That will be a very different matchup that we are looking forward to. But then there was not a lot of strength against spin, as I mentioned in the beginning that when I was watching Q2 from Chennai, which was again a spinning track, Shahbaz Ahmed rescued us. And he was an impact sub who rescued us against the likes of Ashwin and Chahal. So now that has improved for the likes of Ishan Kishan coming in at 3, probably Klassen 4, Nitish 5, Abhinav Manohar 6. So this is a very decent spin side. And that is the biggest strength this year. That even though their spin bowling is slightly weak, spin hitting is immense. And I think that's where, again, Kolkata game, Sunrisers will have a little more edge in terms of playing spin better.
Absolutely, that is true. And if you see the top three of the Sunrise Hyderabad, they're six-hitting machine, and you have Abhishek Sharma and Nishan Kishan, who are very good player of spin. All three are left-handers, but always a side which has strength do have a weakness. Varun, what is the weakness you see in this side?
There aren't. Uh, I think this might be a bit serious. I think it's probably the finishing role. I think Vian Mulder is still new. Yeah, I think that he's still new. Abhinav Manohar, he he didn't really do well for Cheetah. I think one season in 2022, he's really showed his talent. He showed his six-hitting abilities, but he's never really been able to capitalize and finish a game for his side. Something like Abdul Samad
I
did.
think wasn't the Karnataka Premier League his breakthrough
Karnataka, yeah,
season?
yeah. He did very well in the Karnataka. I think he's doing well in these sort of leagues, but when it comes to the IPL board 2022, 2023, 2024, he didn't really do as well as I expected him to do. As I was saying, this is something Abdul Samad did as well. He really played well. I think he hits those big sixes, but he just couldn't take his team over the line in some occasions. And I think that's what Abhinav Manohar is doing. And then Vian Mulder. Maybe you can, if they get in maybe someone like Sachin Baby or Aniket Verma, and again, these aren't your typical finishers, right?
But the names you just took, if I see the numbers as well, the strike rate is around 125 to 135.
Correct,
In the
exactly.
finisher's role, that's not good enough.
Yeah, I think Aniket Verma, first of all, is a number 4 batsman, but people want to play him at number 6 and number 7. And I think that's the big issue. 2016, 2017, this kind of period, we had the same problem. We used to play these names like Vijay Shankar, who has to play at number 3 or number 4, playing them at number 6 or number 7. And that made the batting lineup really weak. Another thing I would like to say is 2 new additions. Mohammad Shami, is he fit enough? Will he shoot the ground? As Pranav said, will the ball swing under those conditions, right? And who will be
Huge
his
gap.
partner in crime, right? Will it be Pat Cummins or will it be someone else? Will it be Simarjeet Singh? We don't know yet. I think that's another thing to look at. And
Will it
Ishan,
be Law Do Not Cut?
maybe we don't know. We should see. And another thing is, I'm gonna say Ishan Kishan. He hasn't been in form in domestic cricket. I haven't seen much of him in domestic cricket either, to be very honest, because I think he scored 1 century, and that too that was against a very below average team in domestic. So I think Ishan Kishan, it's his time to shine. It's his time to prove what he is to the cricketing world, to at least make some sense.
Absolutely. Just like Pranav mentioned earlier in the show about keeping in mind, and you also said keeping in mind the 2026 World Cup, Ishan Kishan needs to have a breakthrough season because he's also out of contract in BCCI. Shreyas got a contract now after being a champion as well in the Champions Trophy. Keeping these things in mind, you've said your weakness, opportunity on the cards, Pranav.
I think opportunity for Sunrisers would be to showcase what pace bowling means. Because this year they have heavily invested on key pacers like Simarjeet Singh, uh, Mohammad Shami. I think Mohammad Shami's backup is Simarjeet Singh. Then you have Ishan Malinga, who's a backup to probably Pat Cummins, because again, a foreign fast bowler.
Overseas.
There is Vian Mulder, who can add on a bit of pace. So I think the pace bowling, the sort of variations that they can come up with to match Harshad Patel's slow balls, to match Harshad Patel's tipping yorkers, can they learn those out? Can they implement or can they read the pitch rather quickly? Where in places like Chinnaswamy, if you're bowling at 140 like a Mohammad Shami, you might go for runs. So can they adapt quickly? Can they really push the tank for a purple cap as a fast bowler, just like Bhuvi did in
True.
2016? That will be something that they want to look at.
Absolutely. But before I come to the thread with you, Varun, one more opportunities that I'm really surprised is so far, more or less, you've spoken about 19 players in this side. But the opportunity of having another overseas, a Sri Lankan overseas, can be a prodigy in their side. Both arm spinner coming to
Coming to
Mendes. Maybe
Mendes.
he can be an X factor in the side.
Nah, nah. So basically, why I'm
Probably
saying
Chennai.
that.
In Chennai, he can.
Maybe.
But otherwise, I don't.
But the thing is, he's proved his name in Test cricket, but in white ball cricket, you don't hear about him at all.
True.
Even in the Lanka Premier League, you're saying both hands. He doesn't even bowl in Lanka Premier League. Maybe if he played 20 games, he's bowled in 1 or 2 games, that too 1 or 2 overs. Another thing is, even in batting for Sri Lanka or in the LPL, his strike rate is around 110, 115, and his average is in the low
His T20
20s.
strike rate is 122, while his bowling
Yeah.
Don't
economy is
don't
9.
don't rule out transformations under Pat Cummins. I'm telling you this. He has transformed players
But the
in
thing is,
Australia,
first of
and
all, we don't have a place for him. He has to play at number 3,
Yeah,
number
that's
he
true.
4.
might play in place of Vian Mulder. I mean, it's just a call that the management has to take. If they decide on having slew of left-handers to break Ashwin Jadeja and Noor Rhythm, then Kamindu Mendes can come in and
I
just
just don't
pound
think
balls for fun.
Mendes being a player at number 6 or number 7 with that kind of striker, with that kind of
Yeah,
batting ability.
that's difficult. Could be a squad player until unless there's a massive injury to any of the top order players. Apart
Yeah.
from that, I don't really see coming to Mendes. But Varun, thread of this side, please.
If you're talking about threats to other sides, that may be our top 6, top 5, top 6. But for our team, I would say backups. Suppose in the worst case, if we have an injury for the openers, Travis Head or Abhishek Sharma,
Absolutely.
who will be our openers? Now we have Atharva Taide. Very good. Okay, so that's one. But what about the other guy? We don't know yet. What if Ishan Kishan or anyone in the top 3 gets? What about Travis Head? Then Ishan Kishan should come up in the order, and Kamindu Mendes needs to fit in somewhere at 4 or 5, and that's another thing. Backups. Klassen doesn't have a backup, right? Abhinav Manohar really doesn't have a backup. I don't really consider Aniket Verma that big of a player yet. We should still see what he is. The bowlers, I think Harshal has Unadkat. Shami has Simarjeet, or Simarjeet might even play in the lineup as an impact player. So these backup, it's a bit of an issue there. And injury concerns. Mohammad Shami is one player. He's still coming back into the Indian side, into the cricket gig. How is he going to be fit enough to play 14 or more games in the IPL? Can he bowl 4 overs consistently? I think that's an issue there. I think those are my 2 threats.
Okay, so you've given your threads about Sunrise Hyderabad.
Yeah, so just to counter the threats that Varun
Yeah.
mentioned just now, BCCI has come up with rules that you can name interim or substitutions in the side. I just read an article on Flickr
Yeah, yeah,
that you can name substitutions for a specific period of time, so that's taken care of. Uh, and probably if you look at the backups, I think consistency in terms of fitness will be another challenge that they want to pursue perhaps because workload management will be another thing because Australia are going to play South Africa in the
Yep.
WTC final. Cummins, I think Klassen will also play perhaps. Uh,
in the
No,
WTC
Cummins will
final.
be
No.
no,
no, Klassen
no.
will not play. Sorry, Stark, Cummins, these guys will play the final. So you might want to understand what sort of fitness regime these guys are going through. So it's just how they want to manage, and that's where I think Ishan Malinga
Yeah.
will be another factor, and Abhishek Sharma might just chip in with captaincy at given point of time.
I
Okay,
hope he's
these are
appointed as
interesting.
vice captain. I really do hope he's appointed as vice
Okay, these
captain.
are interesting pointers you have said about. But what about the strategies of the Sunrisers Hyderabad? Let's take a look into that. This was something which we were discussing earlier in the show as well. The death bowling will be challenging for Sunrisers, though you have picked a couple of bowlers basis on this period as well. 60 required of 5 overs, Varun. Who are your bowlers bowling 16, 17, 18, 19, 20?
I think Harshal Patel, first of all, let's just go with the same straight off the bat. He's a seasoned death bowler. I think he's the best death bowler in the IPL right now. People say, he might go very expensive, and even though he takes wickets, he goes very expensive and he gives away games. But his economy in the death in the IPL, I think last year was around 9.75 or 10, somewhere in that range, which is not bad at all for a death bowler. And he also takes a wicket every 7 balls in the death overs, is what I've seen. So that's fantastic for a death bowler. I'm gonna give him 2 overs straight off the bat.
2 overs, okay.
2 overs, uh, and then I'm gonna give 1 over to Pat Cummins.
Okay.
Pat Cummins last year as well, he's bowled 1 over in the death, and he's always contained the other side. He's always made the last 1 or 2 overs to the other bowlers a bit more easier to defend
Okay.
it. So Pat Cummins will be my other death bowler. Now the other death bowler is the only big concern because my impact player it would be Simarjeet Singh, but I don't really think he's a death bowler. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. But Shami as well, he's not a death bowler as well. So I think that's where a bit of a problem comes in. So if the Sunrisers might have to succeed in the death overs, maybe they should give one less over to Harshal Patel in the middle overs and save 3 for the death. But I don't think that's
That,
gonna
that's
happen.
what I think that is going to be the point because I've seen for
Yeah,
Punjab Kings, Harshal bowling 4 overs on the top 14, 16, 18,
right.
20. And that could possibly be out here because he's a dead specialist. Pranav, do you
Correct.
agree with this or do you have any other opinion?
I think for me, if I'm sitting in the Sunrisers dressing room, how I will operate is give 3 overs to Shami in the power play on the trot.
Yeah,
Um, one of the other fast bowlers be Unadkat or Cummins, then bowl the rest three. So I think Cummins bowls one, or maybe Unadkat bowls one and Cummins bowls two. Shami and Cummins will bowl a couple in the death overs, or sorry, in the middle overs,
yeah,
and in the death, I will give the ball to Harsha Patel from 16 to, or rather
Yeah,
15 to
I
20.
think that is
4 overs
going
on
to
the
be a
trot,
So
very
you're
and then
saying
1 over by Cummins.
Mohammad Shami 3 overs in the power play. Who are your other one or two
Cummins
bowlers?
1,
Cummins.
Cummins 1, and Unadkat 1, or Cummins 2, Unadkat 1.
So you're playing
That's
Unadkat as your impact player, basically.
yeah. yeah.
Okay. I like this opinion too. What about the second strategy for the Sunrisers Hyderabad? Pranav, here it is. Very interesting. I would really want to know because your players are six hitting machines. What if any day it can be possible? 12 for 3 earlier inside the power play. Who do you send at number 5 or maybe number 6? You hold back the likes of Henry Klaas and Nitish Kumar Reddy, or you be like, go play as many balls as you can?
No, I think, look, we saw that versus Bangladesh and Delhi. Nitish and Rinko put on a partnership. Uh, and I think I will not hold back Nitish because he's tailor made for these situations. Uh, I just simply send him at 4 and ask him to just hold one end up and let the likes of Klassen and the other batters in 1 over do the job for you. So that is how I will look at it. Because for me, the matter of the fact is if I'm 12 for 3, I still want to go hitting because I know that Cummins can hold the bat.
True.
Harshal Patel can hold the bat. So if I'm looking at that way, I think I'll not stop from hitting. I'll not stop from rotating the strike in the middle overs. I'd always want to tick at 8 runs and over no matter what. One boundary every over, that's how I look at it. So if I'm
Okay.
12 for 3, I'm still okay.
So you're still going to be positive. You're going to still
Yeah.
send the likes of Nitish Kumar Reddy, Klassen, because that gives you an advantage. You still have the impact player. If you still crumble after that, 50 for 5, you can then bring your impact player into the equation as well. Third strategy question, Varun, over to you. Last season, records were broken for fun by Sunrisers Hyderabad. This time around, what could be your target?
Yeah, let's try and hit the 300 mark this time around. I think it's pretty easy. Easy. I think the curators also mentioned that we're creating tracks, so this team would hit 300. So very confident now. But I don't think there will be any sort of a strategy. It's just a motivation and confidence from the
See
captain
the
and the
ball,
coach.
hit the ball.
That's it. It's as simple as that. We did that last year. We're going to do that this year. I think there's going to be no change in the mindset whatsoever. If they do, it better be something good. Maybe something bowling wise, but I'm not really expecting that. They built a bowling side just enough to maybe defend the target that they set up. Doesn't matter if they win by 10 runs, 5 runs, 20 runs. They just want to defend it. They don't want like 160 all out like that. Just defend it. But go and play as good as you can out on the field while batting. That's it.
Okay. That's a very positive mindset I have from you guys when it comes to Sunrisers Hyderabad. What about the players to watch out for now? Let's take a look into that. Two picks have been made from each other. Pranav, over to you. Harshal Patel and Ishan Kishan may have the reason behind that, please.
Again, death bowling and spin hitting. That's the reason why I've picked them because Ishan plays spin really well. Um, Worst case, he'll have a 350 run season. Best case, he'll have a 550 run season. So that's where I'm looking at him. Harsha Patel is always a bank in the death overs. He'll somehow pick wickets, especially we are starting on our day game. So that's even a more advantageous for us, somebody like Harshal giving his slow ball balls in the daytime. So yeah, that's why I'm banking on him.
Okay, so you have given your two verdicts, and I think Harshal Patel in the debt is just like the numbers said by Varun. He's always going to pick you wickets. Nitish Kumar Reddy, Abhishek Sharma, says Varun. I'm not surprised by the names. May I have the reasons behind that, please?
Yeah. First of all, Sunrise have trusted them. They retained them. They're the future of this team and the Indian cricket team. Budding all-rounders, growing all-rounders. Nitish Kumar Reddy is improving in his bowling stature. Brilliant batter already. Proved that for the Sunrisers. Abhishek Sharma, really don't need to talk about him. He provides you a few overs with spin, and I think that's what's important. I'm looking for all-rounders for this side. I think that's what we lacked in the previous years, and we're finally getting some good prospects in. So that's why I picked Abhishek.
Okay, so you have given your two picks, and that's the reason why they have been retained by Sunrisers Hyderabad as well. My X factor, I'm not sure if you guys will agree with that, but I'm going with the Aussie, and I'm going with Adam Zampa as my X factor. I think frontline spinner has been the weakness this time around in this squad for Sunrise Hyderabad. Though they have gone for Rahul Chahar, but this man is up gold in terms of white ball cricket. 117 wickets with an economy of 7.16 in T20Is. That's massive. And I think with the leadership group having New Zealand and especially an Aussie out there, Pat Cummins, you might just fancy having Adam Zampa in condition-based figures. And that's the reason why I think Adam Zampa can be an X factor. What about the predicted playing 11 out here? Let's see it. Expecting a lot of debates coming out here when it comes to Sunrisers Hyderabad playing 11, and that's like I mentioned about Adam Zampa as my X factor. I have him in my 11. No Bian Mulder. Any changes for you, Varun?
As I said, we're playing 4 home games or 5 home games in the first 6 games. So I will have Ian Mulder. I'll only bring in Adam Zampa maybe in the second half of the season when the pitches started slower down or when you're
Okay.
playing in pure spin tracks. I think Chennai or Rajasthan or Ahmedabad, I think these kind of tracks will really help spinners. I think it'll help Adam Zampa as well. So that's when I'll play him. I also won't pick Atarba Taide as my impact player. If we do have Ian Mulder in, obviously, I think I'll pick someone like Kunal Kat or Simarjeet Singh.
No, I'm saying in case you're batting second. So if you're chasing,
Yeah.
I think Atavataide. Okay. Agree with this, Pranav?
Yeah, I largely agree with what Varun says because for me, the batting holds enough firepower. It's just the bowling that needs a little more support, and that's where I think impact sub will be a bowler, or maybe they'll play another batter in Sachin Baby and just get
Yeah, that's what
Ishan Malindra.
That
So
is also could be possible. Anything is up to, and Pat Cummins can make anything possible from this thin squad as well. What about the predictions time now? Season predictions on the line. Let's take a look into that. Season predictions is on the line. Varun, I'll start with you. Orange cap winner, purple cap winner. You have 4 teams to make it to the playoffs.
my orange cap, I'm gonna go with the actual guy who wears an orange cap throughout the whole season, Travis Head. He's
Okay.
I could have picked Abhishek Sharma, but he he hits the ball, but he sometimes gets out early, maybe like the 35s, 40s. But Travis said he sometimes goes a bit beyond that, so I'm gonna pick him. For my purple cap, I'm gonna pick Arshdeep Singh, India's prospect, India's future bowler. He's already done so well in the T20 league, so I'm gonna go with him. My top four teams, I'm gonna go straight off the bat with my team. Mumbai Indians for the brilliant bowling and batting side, evenly built. Uh, the next two teams were a bit tricky for me, I would say, because I think each and every team, from what I've seen, have their own big weaknesses and strengths. But I'm just gonna say maybe Punjab Kings. I think they have some sort of a decent team this time around. I just see them having a brilliant bowling. I love their bowling lineup this time around. Their batting, the names that you see, they're good, but they might be a bit inconsistent. But if it is their time, they're gonna shine. And I think my fourth team was CSK. They do have the bowling, they have the batting. I think that team they can adjust to any sort of condition in
Any
anywhere.
conditions.
Especially
Absolutely.
in Chennai, if they win 5 or 6 out of 7 in Chennai, they're into the qualifiers easily. That's what I believe.
MS Dhoni fans must be proud of you after hearing this. But
I'm an MS Dhoni fan
yes,
myself.
oh, you're an MS Dhoni fan yourself, but still supporting the Orange Army. Pranav, over to you. Your four teams: orange cap, purple cap, with us, please.
For me, the orange cap will be Abhishek Sharma. Purple cap will be it's a tough choice, but I think somehow Harshal Patel will have that, or
Wow.
Matisha Patirana will have that.
Okay.
Um, Four teams, I think Sunrisers, obviously, CSK, MI, and one of Gujarat Titans or Delhi Capitals will make it because
Wow.
Gujarat have a seriously
Yeah.
great side.
Both of them are very, very good squad. Delhi's bowling, Gujarat's overall squad. Very surprised both of you have not gone with the defending champions. I believe that both of you have also
I
not
don't
gone with
think
the Mumbai Indians.
I
That's
did go with Mumbai Indians. I went with Mumbai.
oh, you with Mumbai? I'm sorry for
I have
that, but
not gone with MI.
okay, but none of you have gone with the
That's
Gujarat
because
Titans.
I don't think MI's batting is as good as it used to be, and that is where I think it's a problem. But Gujarat have serious good players. They have all players. They have Shubman Gill, Joss Butler. They have slew of all-rounders. They have Rashid Khan. They have Mohammad Siraj. They have decent
Watia.
pace battery as well. So I think they will push for this one.
Okay, so I'm very surprised once again. Both of you have not gone with the defending champions, Kolkata Knight Riders. That
Dude,
sums up the
now
show.
fans in your comment section, they'll be like, "This is revenge. They hate this team. We don't want
No,
KKR."
no, no,
It's not like
no,
that.
no, no, no.
The squad isn't strong for us, in our opinion. That's all. You
It's
guys
based on
don't.
the analysis that we feel. No, it's not
Absolutely, it's
biased.
absolutely open opinion. We'll see that what the comment section now flood around with all the teams. Thank you so much, both of you. Thank you for all the viewers for watching this one. It's Sunrisers Hyderabad, the runners of last season, moving out here. Enjoy the season. Don't forget to subscribe to Fifth Umpire. Press the bell icon as well. Thank you so much, and bye bye.